today has. Will it be possible? I mean, are there possibilities?
I'm sure that Peter and I would be pleased to speak to you afterwards. I think that there definitely are opportunities and possibilities, and we'd be happy to talk to you at lunch with, you know, what that might look like.
In some of the regulated sectors like finance, what is the role model Australia government is following, wherein the qualification laid down by the regulator, say stock market or financial market, is taken into account for the purpose of employment, or it is provided by the sectors council, which is taken into account, or the equivalence of both? Say, for example, I am from the National Stock Exchange. We have got the SEBI, Security Exchange Board of India, which I got laid down qualification set. Now the sector council BFSI, each has own set of qualification laid down. Now the industry so far has been accepting the Security Exchange Board of India qualification set or IDA qualification set. Similarly in Australia, the Australian Services Council would be there, whose qualification set will be there, which may be necessary for employment in the stock market or commodity market, currency market. Similarly, there must be a sector council for the finance, which also would have certain laid down qualifications. My question is, how Australia has handled this question, whether the qualification pack laid down by the regulator of the finance is essential for employment purpose, or it is from the sector council, or the equivalence of both, and both are taken into account.
The Australian qualifications framework doesn't have any discipline content in it. So what the AQF provides is the generic learning outcomes for what qualifications learning outcomes should be achieved by the graduates. So then it is in the vet sector, it's up to the industry skills councils to provide that discipline content. So, for example, the example you've given of the finance industry, that would be the IPSA industry skills councils in Australia would be developing the training package qualifications that fit around that, but they would be meeting the requirements of the specific levels of the AQF in doing that. Does that answer your question?
I might add, it was a question that was raised yesterday about certain industry areas issuing licenses and having that kind of regulation, and then separately qualifications. And your example is similar to that. You know, there's an institution requiring a certain accreditation, and then a qualification potentially separate. And what the skills councils did was basically build in the license requirements or the requirements of a particular industry association into the qualification itself. So you didn't have to do a separate activity or separate assessments or exams. They're now built into the study you do for a particular qualification.
And what also happens is that there are, of course, other professional bodies that provide input into the development of qualifications. So in the health industry, the Nurses Board in Australia would audit the qualifications that are being delivered to make sure that they met their requirements. Engineers do the same thing. So there's a lot of different external pressures that are being placed on the industry skills councils in Australia that are developing qualifications to ensure that they are meeting not just the Australian qualifications framework structure, but also what's required for each and every individual industry.
Friends, I think we will stop here. This session has already taken another extra 15 minutes. But before I close, let me thank the fellow panelists, Ms. Gayatri Vasudevan, Mr. Bob Patton, Ms. Claire Field, Mr. Peter Holdren, Mr. N.L. Waldron, and Diane Booker for their comments, and I think we'll carry forward the discussion over lunch. You're all invited to join us for lunch. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khare and the panelists. We will break for lunch and assemble back in the same hall at 1:30 sharp, please. The members of the CII National Committee on Skill Development, the meeting will commence at 2 o'clock at the Regency 5 hall, which is in the basement downstairs. So request that you have your lunch and reach the Regency 5 at 2 o'clock, please. The members of the CII National Committee on Skill Development. Thank you very much. Please enjoy your lunch. Seat, please. Thank you very much, Professor. Mr. Atul Bhatnagar, Chief Operating Officer, National Skill Development Corporation, NSTC. May I request Mr. Bhatnagar to come on stage, please. Mr. Neil Fernandez, CEO, Central Institute of Technology, Australia. May I request Mr. Fernandez to come on stage, please. Mr. Ravi Subramanian, Head India Operations, AAMC Training Group. May I request Mr. Subramanian to come please on stage. Thank you. Mr. Quentin Stevenson Perks, Assistant General Manager, International Education, Austrade. Mr. Perks, may I have your presence here, please. Ms. Sue Freeman, Director, Australian Retail College. Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Mr. Phil Cox, Institute Director and CEO, TAFE NSW Hunter Institute. Thank you, Mr. Cox. Mr. Michael Buller, CEO, XLT JP International Engineering and Vocational Center, India. We are delighted to have our panelists here. Thank you, Mr. Buller. And now, may I request Professor Pant to take on the proceedings, please. Thank you.